Throughout time, people across the world told each other tales of how they came to be, of heroes and monsters, romance and tragedy, death and rebirth. Mythology helped shape the ancient world, explaining the unexplainable. This is Mythology Unleashed. From the book of Genesis, the first book of the Old Testament in the Christian Bible, comes a tale of ambition, pride, and divine retribution. A tale of a people who built a mighty construct that spat in the face of heaven and led to the division of the human race, the Tower of Babel. After the great flood waters had subsided, the descendants of Noah and his family were instructed by God to go forth into the world to multiply and replenish the earth. As generations came and went, the whole of the earth was of one language and of one speech. They traveled from the east and migrated to a land known as Shinar, and this is where they dwelt. The people became more and more settled in the Shinar plain until an idea was hatched. An idea to build a great city from the clay and the stone and the slime mortar that lay about them, and the focal point of which would be an impossibly tall tower. This tower was to reach a height so great that its top may reach unto heaven, and in completing this tower and its surrounding city, mankind may go on to create a name for themselves, lest they be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. The people toiled and they labored, until their labors were noticed by God. He saw the people congregated, united as one under one language, and building a tower that encroached upon him. They disobeyed the word of God to the utmost. But God's retribution would not be as devastating as a great deluge. Instead, he confounded their language so that they may not understand one another. In the blink of an eye, each person then spoke a different language, some that sounded similar to others, and many that were drastically different from one another. And so communication ceased. Construction on both the tower and the city was ground to an indefinite halt. Having lost their language and their unity, the people went their separate ways, journeying to every corner of the earth. The city lay abandoned, the tower left incomplete, and evermore called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, scattering them abroad upon the face of all the earth. Though the structure has only the briefest mention within the Bible, the Tower of Babel and its story are a fascinating aspect of the Old Testament, inspiring many works of art and works of literature dedicated to the mysterious construct. To followers of the Christian faith, it is a valuable lesson in tempering pride, practicing humility, and an explanation for how there are so many languages spoken by the human race. And to those who have a mind for adventure, mysterious places, and the curious things in life, a number of questions arise. Was the Tower of Babel real? Does it still stand somewhere in the great unknown, scratching the surface of heaven? Is it in pieces, pieces that are scattered across the plains? Whatever the answer may be, the story and the mystique of the Tower of Babel have inspired countless generations since time immemorial.